So today we're going to talk about communication, and today's talk is going to involve a demonstration brought to you by Lego. So there is my little platform. When we are looking at communication, I want you to think of communication in terms of the parts. In other words, we're going to have a sender and a receiver. And the sender is going to share thoughts, feelings, ideas, concepts, notions, instructions, any form of communication with the receiver. Here's the problem. We all have completely different versions of reality. In fact, they're close on 8 billion versions of reality on planet Earth, and none of them are the same. We all see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and experience reality in a very unique way because we have a filter system that exists between us and reality that determines how we are going to input reality for ourselves. And the problem with the communication these two are about to have is the filter system that exists between them. So our filters consist of our belief systems that have been ingrained in us since birth, all of our life experiences, the decisions that we have made about ourselves and other people based on our life experiences, our memories, the languages that we speak, our values, our morals, our ethics. And one of the most important communication filters we have is a communication filter. So our communication filter is going to determine how we understand communication and how we share communication. So can you see that whatever the sender is about to share in terms of communication is now going to have to move through this whole filter system and pop out the other side to the receiver, who will never hear it the way it was intended. They are never going to receive that communication in the exact same way that the sender meant it to be received. In fact, the true meaning behind any communication will only ever belong to the sender, because this sender has got no idea what the receiver's filters are, and likewise. So we can see how information and communication can get warped and misinterpreted and misunderstood through this filtration system. So, anyone who's been in a relationship has had an experience where you've been speaking to your partner and they suddenly got really defensive and said something like, don't shout at me. And you're like, but I'm not shouting at you. I'm just talking to you. No, you're shouting at me and you're getting all aggressive with me. And you're like, I'm not. I'm speaking to you. I just feel very strongly about what I'm talking about. There's now a misinterpretation going on related to a few things. So what's also really important to know about communication is that only 7% of it is verbal. 93% of the way we communicate is non-verbal, meaning it's the physical body language, and it is a lot to do with the voice. 38% of the way we communicate with somebody has to do with our voice, the tone of our voice, the speed of our voice, the volume of our voice, the vocabulary that we use. And 55% of communication, more than half of communication, has to do with our body language and the tone of our skin, the dilation of our pupils, the way we breathe, the way we move. So we pick up on all of these subtle cues from a body language and voice perspective when communication is happening. So from a voice perspective, you may think that you are sounding quite neutral and quite calm, whereas the person you're speaking to may have a filter that has taught them that a loud voice means aggression and attack. So you may be in a relationship with someone who finds your eye contact very overwhelming, and they're like, stop staring at me all the time, or you're getting too intense when you look at me like that. And maybe you were brought up in a home where eye contact and looking at someone when you speak to them indicates respect. However, maybe you're in a relationship with somebody whose culture tells them that constant eye contact is actually rude and disrespectful. So it's incredibly important when you're in a relationship with anyone, not just your intimate relationships, but with your friends and your family and colleagues, to attempt to understand their filter systems, but more importantly, to know your own. Why do you interpret what people say to you the way you do? Why do you take offense to it? Why do you get reactive to it? Why is your partner getting triggered by what you are saying? And instead of getting defensive about it, it is saying to them, okay, I can see that you're clearly getting upset by this. Let's look at why. Was it something I said? Is it the way that I said it? And try to really investigate the filters, because this is what exists between you and everybody else. And we wonder why everyone in the world struggles so much with communication. So communication and a step towards resolving communication issues in your life is seeking to understand somebody's filters. Other people are not just deliberately being, difficult or refusing to listen or not understanding. Well, not most of the time. But, most of the time, people just don't understand your reality. They have completely different filters to you, and their reality dictates something different. So, it's a good lesson for you to learn how to teach people how to treat you. And that means teaching people how to speak to you, how to communicate with you, how to engage with you. And if you are not teaching people, you can't get all pissed off with them if they're not speaking to you in the way you want to be spoken to. You have to inform them of what it is you need. What are your wants and your needs when it comes to communication? And it's very important for you to also get off your righteousness in thinking that, I'm just going to speak how I'm going to speak, and, people must just handle it and deal with it. Well, no, that's not workable. You are not seeking to find a middle ground or to meet them halfway to understand how they need to be spoken to and how they need a communication to be delivered in order for them to really hear it. So when it comes to communication, please spend time, learning about your filters. And if you don't understand those filters, come and see me and we can learn about them together and really seek to understand what your partner's filters are. Because this is going to make the world of difference when understanding how to shift the communications in your life.